the ways.
I'm not. I'm just thinking.
You're thinking about yourself. I'm not at some point. He doesn't want me to say, "Hey, wait."
That's
it's not just at weddings that you see them going like this. How does it affect you?
I know where you're going.
Where am I going?
I know where you're going. We feel irritated as well that, come on, what will not believe I'm having this discussion?
I've never understood that because they are always ejaculating. It is me. When I start, it says,
I didn't think you were pregnant. Yewande.
Good day wherever you are, all over the world. Good day. Nice to see you.
Nice to see
You're
you.
looking freak as usual.
And you red. Does that reflect?
Very red hot topic.
Does that reflect the topic for today?
It does indeed. It does
And
indeed.
what is the topic for today?
Menopause. This one is for the older people. But aside of that, it's good for younger people to know about menopause.
I think I'm going to learn today.
Well,
because
we will learn together.
My wife has been telling me for quite some time now that I need to find out more about menopause.
Okay.
I have no clue.
Okay, that's good that she said that. What is it that you know or you've experienced? At least what does it mean to you?
This is what
hot flush. On that note, you see a lot of women. It's not just at weddings that you see them going like this.
That is, for me.
So hot flushes, that's what they call it.
Hot flushes.
It's like going hot and cold. There's no sunshine, and all of a sudden you just break out in cold sweat.
I have no clue how it works. I do not know. I know it's biological, and up until a few years ago, did I have to start sympathizing or start empathizing or start understanding?
Okay, so how did it impact you, first of all?
How did it impact me?
Yes, because obviously I can talk about all the physical symptoms, the emotional symptoms, but the core of the matter is,
I know where you're going.
How does it affect you?
I know where you're going.
Where am I going?
I know where you're going. How does it
impact on you? I'm not saying anything. Or did you hear me say anything? I say, how does it impact on you? Women that experience menopause already know what I'm talking about.
How does it impact me? There are times when I'm in the mood and she's not in the mood. And for the heck of me, I don't understand why she's not in the mood.
Okay, so in the mood for what? I beg, don't talk in parables.
Why do you want me to speak?
So, let's break it down.
Yes.
It's a physiological change in women.
It is.
Which makes it sometimes very difficult to be intimate because there's irritability, there's dryness, and this is for those of you in relationships. For those who are not in relationship, this is something that maybe you have to bear in mind. Fortunately for me and my husband, we went on a sort of couples retreat. Okay. And in the infinite wisdom of the couples, because there were quite a lot of older couples at this retreat, they brought in a gynecologist. A gynecologist, and both husband and wife were in the medical field. The husband was a gynecologist. So the gynecologist was explaining in a very graphical, biological way with, on the screen, what kind of biological changes takes place in women. I'm not going to go down the biological change route. I'm just going to talk about the physical impacts, like what you said. For me, menopause started for me maybe about 5 years ago.
I was just about to ask, is it dependent on age? Is it age dependent?
It's age dependent to a certain extent. I mean, some start menopause in their 40s, some in their 50s, some in their 60s. So mine started, I would say, in my early 50s.
Well, again, what I was told was that the earlier you start your periods, the sooner you reach your menopause.
Possibly. I cannot comment on that because
sure.
I'm not a medical person, but if you know better, please comment. We're more now focusing on how it impacts on relationships because that's kind of like the area of our expertise. A lot of things changes. You get hot flushes, like I said earlier. You get very dryness in that area. Usually when you are going to be intimate, when you've started petting yourselves and all of that, there's a natural lubricance that comes. But when you start becoming menopause, it just dries. It's dry, you're sensitive, all those things that used to make you feel, everything is 100% sensitive, more sensitive. And it affects some women physiologically to the point where they actually become unable to do what they normally do.
Celibate?
Well, I wouldn't say celibate, but I would say that they don't want sex.
So how?
I know. This is part of it, but
How?
this is how serious it's now become.
Very
that
serious.
there are policies that are going to be coming in place.
Policies.
About how people in the workplace need to be sensitive to it.
Okay.
Because like you said, you've been married how many years and you don't have a clue about it. This is just the first stage of educating ourselves. You have to go and do more research. But at least your wife will be happy that you spoke about it today.
Yeah.
So that sensitivity is really what brings sometimes disharmony between couples. Because you want to get down and have your usual sex and romance and your wife is not in the mood for that. And to be honest, she might not be in the mood for ever. not being like, let me talk about myself. Me, I just know now that my husband and I are educated about it. We know what we have to do. Sometimes you have to be sensitive to your partner's needs in particular.
I agree.
But also, you cannot do it out of discomfort. So there's lubrication.
Yeah.
And there are different kinds. But, I don't want to mention any brands or any name because, lubrication is the answer. For me, lubrication is the answer. There's a specific kind, because I'm very health conscious, that really helps. It helps. It's also ensures that your partner can actually help you in that process. Being sensitive, obviously, to the fact that there's tendency to dryness. Also, just being understanding, about it. Like I said, you just see, maybe for some people, you just see their forehead, just sweat starts. You say, what's going on? And you see some people, they will always have a fan, like I was showing you earlier. Mine is good. I have them in different colors. I even have a perfume shaped one. So when I'm going to different events, I have my fan with me, just to kind of cool me down.
So isn't that a giveaway? She's
No, in a party, when you're at a party, a lot of women have it, but yeah, that's one of the reasons. Now you know. That's one of the reasons people have it. Obviously, to cool you down, you're dancing, you've got makeup and so on.
The physical fan itself?
Oh, yes, of course. I have that too. I have many of these ones. I have physical fan. And again, it's just to control the discomfort so that you can engage with people. But for men, I would say that the understanding comes from, firstly, just finding out from your partner, how do you feel? What are you going through? Let her explain how she feels. And let her explain to you what would help her in terms of intimacy. How can you still be intimate?
It has to be an open discussion.
Like everything. What helps me? Because sometimes those conversations are difficult. And this is why I would always recommend for couples to get away together regularly. Maybe on a couples retreat, like I said. A retreat is just somewhere where you're being educated as well as having fun with your spouse. Another area is dryness around the mouth. You'll see. I don't want to show because I have
branded.
one drink. It's branded. Let me just quickly have a sip. You get thirsty a lot. Sometimes you'll be literally foaming around the mouth because of that when you're speaking. And some people, they become debilitated. They actually cannot function. So there are different kinds of medication. It's supposed to be some hormonal imbalance that takes place in women. So you can have some medication. There's some people who actually go on different kinds of therapy that is specifically designed to help redress that hormonal balance. And, you know, hormone replacement therapy is what you may have heard of. Have you heard of that?
Of course.
Okay. So HRT for short. That's what it stands for, to help balance that. Some women, once they start this therapy, it regulates their mood, it regulates their energy levels. You get tired a lot. Now, sometimes I don't have energy. Energy to do my everyday things, much less getting physically romantic.
Wow.
Yes. So it's quite a lot. And the workplace now, they're beginning to do, seminars about how people can understand women of a certain age in the workplace so that, they can accommodate and adjust the workplace to suit that. But the most important thing is the talking.
And men ought to understand that, because it's very enlightening for me. I know of a little bit from what my wife says.
What sort of things has your wife said?
Yeah, I mean the dryness, for instance. Not being in the mood. Because we openly. I mean, my wife and I, we open books. We discuss everything openly. But she has insisted that you need to find out more about menopause and how it impacts women. And then for her specifically, this is how she feels. She feels there are times when she just the fan, you're sleeping and then she has the fan on, and I know that it's cold. I feel cold.
Of course. And the duvet, I mean, I'll give you a classic example where currently in the UK it's summertime. My husband and I, it's like, I wish they could make one side of the bed to be cold and one hot so he can have hot. So we have duvet. And I've shared with you before about the duvet situation. I put the duvet cover on. But the beddings, I can't use any bedding. It has to be cotton, 100% cotton. That's also part of this menopause. But in the nights, I'm hot and cold. So sometimes I'll be throwing off the duvet. Sometimes I'll be covering with the duvet. But now we're in the summertime. All the windows are open. The fan is on.
Yeah.
My husband is feeling cold because all the windows are open. The fan. I said, my baby, you know now. You know my situation.
Yes.
He said, I know.
Yes.
So duvet off.
Helpful.
But he's educated.
Know.
He's educated on
because if a man doesn't know, a man will feel irritated as well. That come on, what's happening?
Yes, and even during the act, I'm having my fan sometimes. You can imagine. So the position is very important. The position, I'll say, okay, we have to do a certain kind of position. So I have access to my fan. It's not funny, BabaShola. Why are you laughing?
Oh, sorry.
Why are you laughing?
No, it's that fun bit.
So we discuss what kind of positioning we have to do the sex in, so that I don't say abandon it halfway, because the man gets to a certain point, he doesn't want me to say, hey, wait, let me get my fan.
Oh my God. Yewande.
Please, I hope we're not making you squeamish.
No.
But these things have to be talked about. We have made ourselves of no reputation.
Yes.
Fortunately, we have permission from our partners to talk about it.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, what we do, he has a right side drawer that our preferred lubricant is there. So when we get to that stage, I'll just look at him,
He knows what
collect
to do.
collect the lubricant. He gives me the lubricant, I lubricate how I want. Now, for some couples, you might be the one to do the lubrication, just depending on how you relate. I personally don't think men should have to suffer sexually because of menopause. But their understanding, when I say suffer, it should not deprived, yeah. It should not deprive your intimacy. It's your understanding, I believe, that would help you to manage your partner, as a couple. And hearing it from, people who have gone through it, I think is helpful, like what we're doing now. And so, thank goodness for my preferred lubricant. Don't worry, I'll put one in the hamper for you guys to try, because it's natural. Because me, I like natural things. I
cannot believe I'm having this discussion.
BabaShola, you know now, we're here to make your relationship last a long time.
Only
so that
for the viewers.
Exactly, and so that things don't build up. Because resentment, did I tell you that my husband said to me a reason why men fall asleep after having sex?
Yes.
So, and we women, we like a cuddle and all of that. That's another way me and my husband communicate. If he wants me to know something, before we actually physically discuss, he'll send me like some research he's found out about.
Smart man.
And then he'll ask me, did you see my text?
Yes.
So it's finding a way that don't just be irritable without explaining what you are physically going through. Because some women, I don't even know whether they know it's menopause that they're going through. They're so stressed, and we're going to deal with stress in relationship, because being overly stressed all the time or anxious can actually bring menopause on earlier.
Can it?
Yes.
Wow.
So your lifestyle is important. Don't be stressed all the time. Well, I remember, and you lose the ultimate end of menopause is that you will no longer have periods, so you won't be able to have children anymore. So when you hear people, when they say they had a baby at 50 something, it could be that the menopause has not got to that stage where they because you have to have periods to have a baby, right? So this is what I'm saying, that it's different for different people. Initially for me, I was having periods maybe every month. Then after a while, it was once every 2 months. Then once every 3 months. Then just, and then when I'm under stress, I remember I was running one of my races in London. I was doing the London Marathon. That's my other side stress release running. I know you are looking at me. She wrong.
So
stress release.
That's a
yes, swimming, water therapy is very good, because I'm not on HRT, hormone replacement therapy. I'm going for the more natural options. So I do things like swimming. I do things like lots of walking
my
or
wife
running.
does a lot of walking.
That's very helpful. Fresh air. Try and relax. Deep breaths. I like saunas and spas. Any water therapy. Swimming. If you can't swim, ladies, and I know it's a taboo in some of our cultural background, water, because of our hair, because of makeup, you don't want to go in the water. Forget it. Put your shower cap on, or swimming cap on, if you have an elaborate hairstyle. It helps your relationship, because at the end of the day, BabaShola, how long can you go without?
I can't actually. If mine is the mind. If I switch off, I switch off.
Okay, and my husband says that too.
Oh yeah, if I switch off,
because we don't always, but you don't want temptation in your relationship. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, men and women are physiologically different. That's why you will have like some 70, 80-year-old man still able to have children. Yeah. And I've never understood that, because they are always ejaculating. Whereas we women, we get to a stage where we won't be able to have children anymore, and obviously that's menopause.
So should those that haven't experienced menopause, should they be fearful of it? How should women prepare?
I think, like you said at the beginning, just research it. It's gonna come to you one day. It's like death.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. When mine started, I was I've always been a very active person. It started by, like I said, sometimes I would just get intense headaches. And I have to drink a lot of water. I didn't pay cognizance to it. I started paying cognizance to it when I started missing periods. That was my first wake up call.
You didn't think it was
all the other physical something.
You didn't think you were pregnant? Yeah, I'm not just.
It's true. It's true. At the time, I was on birth control, so I knew. Eventually, when I started missing periodically, I just went and took out the birth control, because when I got married, my husband and I decided that we were not going to have any more children, because we had already 5 between us, and I was 49 and he was like 54. So at that time I was still having periods. The time I sort of stopped having periods, I would say maybe when I was like age 55 or 56. About 55. So not more than a couple of years ago. But I realized that I took out, because I had one of those surgical coils. So I just took it out because everything became irritable. Let me just be as natural as I can be. And that was one of my coping mechanisms. I decided to be much more strict about everything that I was doing and be more intentional. Because what happened, I was doing the marathon. And this is what I'm saying, that it started earlier, but I didn't quite get it. The stress of the running, I just started bleeding, period, in the middle of a race. So unprepared, because it wasn't part of my normal cycle. That I'd maybe started missing one, not missing one. That was a few years ago. So 1 month period, 1 month no period. So it affected my running that year, but I finished the race anyway. And so whatever works for you, but you first of all need to understand how it makes you feel. But in terms of sex and intimacy, I would highly suggest that find a lubricant that works for you, because it creates it mimics that natural lubricants that usually comes which is all physiological, and the mood changes, and that's where you have to be more understanding.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, the duvet cover, if you are usually depends whether you are sleeping naked or not. But me, I will start with clothes in the bed. By the morning, all the clothes is off because I'm hot and cold. So even the things that I wear to bed, I have to make sure it's cotton. There are certain kinds of materials sometimes that people find. So these are things that doesn't have to necessarily affect your intimacy, but it needs understanding and it needs support. Some people, they'll go and research hormone replacement therapy, but there are certain kinds of food and, physical activities that you do. Your wife is doing very well if she's walking.
Oh yeah, she never misses it. She does that. I find this very, very illuminating. There's so many things that you've said that I'm able to relate now, even better, to what my wife has been experiencing. There's even a newfound respect for women. It's completely different. And I think I would recommend it for men to find out more. Men, listen to this podcast shade.
Yes.
It's important to understand how your partner, how your wife.
Because some men, their solution is, my wife doesn't love me anymore. She's not relating, so I'm going to get a younger model. A younger model that doesn't have all these feelings. But eventually, even that younger model is going to get and when I say younger model, I mean a younger woman. And you should understand, what do you want me to do? You know, this is some of what I hear women come and tell me, you know, because I don't feel like it. And you know.
Okay, so let me ask you, how should women relate with their partners when it comes to menopause? How should they communicate? That's the word I'm looking for.
I think you can do it together. It really helps having somebody else talk to us about it. So maybe get on YouTube and find out. You know,
it's difficult to say that. You tell your baby, we are relaxing now, so let's watch YouTube on menopause. Come on.
I'm just suggesting that's one of the ways. No, another way, because you can only talk about how you both feel. Yeah. But when you hear about, at least if somebody say, okay, let's go and watch Yewande and what Yewande and BabaShola had to say about it. Yeah. That's quite nice.
Exactly.
And that's on YouTube. Is it not on YouTube?
It is, but don't just say,
I said that's one of the ways.
I'm just thinking.
You're thinking about yourself.
I'm just thinking about, maybe the reason why I haven't really gone into to research it is, you know, my wife, you know, maybe she just said, you need to find out more about menopause. You need to find out more about, especially when she feels a hot flush and, you know, she's irritable.
Does she have fun?
You know, there's a fan at home and, you know, all over the place. Yeah. But, I don't know.
Okay, apart from that, retreats. Maybe you guys can go away together and choose one of those couples away where they're dealing with the topic, because there's more information out there now, and you can go on a romantic weekend away where this topic is being discussed. They have seminars about it, and again, when you start your research, you'll find out. I can certainly recommend things to both of you, but it doesn't affect, you know, even my husband, he'll be teasing me when I start. He said, my baby, you have it. So we can make fun because he understands.
You know. So the I mean, if we were to drill it down, the man has to understand that menopause is real. Find out more about menopause. Find out how it affects your partner.
Yes, and then find out together how you're going to still have your intimacy. Yes. Because that's what it boils down to. Men will still want to be intimate with their wives. Whereas for me, I'm not as let me just say, I don't want to say I'm not as horny as I used to be, but I need to work on creating that space, intentional about it. You know, I can just easily go weeks without sex. Whereas because of my husband, we have to monitor it, you know, and say, oh, you know, he needs it, so let's work on it.
I think it's all about just being intentional.
Yes.
It's all about being intentional.
And for women, please, you need a lubricant. Don't try and deny that. There's so many different ones on the market. Man, you need to be more open to discuss how it makes you feel as well, because you have feelings. I feel rejected. Some men might feel rejected, that, you know, maybe you are doing what you usually do that used to work. That used to work and it's not working again. You're wondering, why isn't it working? I used to be able to just, you know, creep around you, and she's shuddering like, oh, please don't touch me at the moment. Please. That area is sensitive. I just tell my husband straight up, I say, my baby, no touchy on certain parts today, you understand? He says, yes, my baby, I understand.
Good. And no feelings.
No hurt feelings.
No hurt feelings.
Yes.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
There's going to be a part 2 to this.
Absolutely fantastic.
There's going to be a part 2 to this. And certainly it's an area where you can grow together and still have sex into your 80s, 90s, if there's understanding.
Brilliant. Thank you.